only downhill from there. Good morning. Yes, I am Dominic Casserley. I am the Senior Warden, and for those who have no idea what Senior Warden is, I suppose the best way of thinking about it, it's sort of somewhat like a board chairman of a not-for-profit. That's probably the best analogy I can come up with. And it is why I'm here to kick off the Christ Church's 2025 annual appeal. And I'm going to cover two topics: how I think about giving to Christ Church personally, and some basic facts about the finances of your church. Now, I want to be clear up front that these are my personal views. I hope you find them interesting, but I'm not suggesting anyone has to have these views themselves. I do hope, however, they are part of our theme this year, Together in Faith. One of the great advances in thinking over the last century or so has been the concept that all things are relative. From Einstein's breakthrough hypothesis in the theory of relativity to the more mundane but practical reflection that many modes of behavior and ways of living are relative. So the thinking goes, everyone has their own reality and ways of living, and for instance, we all have to be very careful about imposing our society's morals on another society. And I think that's true. But at the same time, when I travel and see other societies at work, it reinforces in me the importance of absolutes, absolute truths that transcend any particular social, economic, or political situation. For me, within Greenwich, Christ Church represents essential moral absolutes. In our rapidly changing and fast-paced world, where everything seems to be in flux, behaviors are changing, social media invades so many areas, and we live by our mobile phones, it is the long-lived realities of the Ten Commandments and Christ's teachings, sacrifice, and resurrection that we can savor in good times and return to in times of stress or sorrow. In that context, in 2013, when Nancy and I returned from 19 years of living around the world to settle down again in Greenwich for a second time, we took a long, hard look at how we were managing our giving back. We decided to focus on a few priorities and on institutions that really had a burning need for our annual support, that could not survive without it. Remembering that charity begins at home, locally we support two important organizations that really need annual support. We support family centers, the amazing health, education, and social services not-for-profit serving Lower Fairfield County, and we support Christ Church. Christ Church represents essential values, eternal values, being lived and delivered to our local community. So Christ Church is a priority for us. Without Christ Church, our town would be far less upstanding, moral, and worshipful. Christ Church strives through faith and commitment to service to uplift our community and beyond, and we find this to be compelling. But that brings me to the second part of our talk. Does Christ Church need our money, or is it just nice to have for the church? As your senior warden, trust me in this. Christ Church basically lives hand to mouth. We have a $4 million annual budget. That is to cover worship, the 8 a.m., the 8:45 messy church, the 10 a.m., evensong, compline, midweek services, and the new joyful noise services. Then there is the music program, pastoral care, youth and kids programs, outreach, Sunday forums, and many Bible study opportunities, etc., etc. $4 million. That is $11,000 a day, 365 days a year. Part of that expense is covering our 10-acre campus, which is historic but very expensive. We must heat, then cool these buildings. We must cover electricity, attend to the grounds, and provide very basic maintenance on our properties. This all costs over $700,000 a year. Now, if you don't believe me about the challenge of our property, if you go up to the altar to get communion today and look to your left, you will see the crumbling on the left by the altar. We hope that is just damp coming through the pointing on the wall outside. We fear it's a problem with the stained glass window above where all that damage is. And if it is, that is going to be a very difficult and expensive task to solve. Just one example of our beautiful campus and its costs. The costs go on. We have to deal with inflation like everyone else, and given that Christ Church employs staff and clergy, we have to meet the rising costs of healthcare coverage. Now, you all know we receive wonderful ministries. The front page of the Greenwich Sentinel last week celebrated the fact that Christ Church is growing and bucking the trend of declining churches. We add about 5 new members a week. That's all fantastic, but it does not come for free. So where does the money come from? We get no money from outside. In fact, we are required to give to the diocese over $300,000 a year to support its many activities. To be clear, we receive no money from the Greater Episcopal Church. Instead, we give money to the Diocese of Connecticut. To cover our $4 million budget, we get about 11% of the budget from income on our endowment, 13% from our special one-time initiative Vision 2025 giving, and 12% from the plate and for renting out the campus to other organizations. That leaves about 65%, or $2.6 million, having to be provided by you and me through our annual pledges. Nobody else is going to provide this money. We either, together in faith, give the money ourselves, or we will be forced to cut back our ministries. About 500 families give each year, and we hope this number will increase, but 500 families on average have to give $5,200 each to make the numbers work. Now, $5,200 is an average number. Some will give more, some less. Each year, Nancy and I look anew at what we give to Christ Church. We do not just take what we gave last year and repeat it. We at least add inflation. But for 2025, unfortunately, Christ Church has lost some key givers, either to a better life or a different state. So we realize that for 2025, we have to do more. So we took what we gave for 2024, and we have pledged an increase of 17.5% for 2025. I said at the beginning of this talk that I am, of course, just representing my own views on giving. Each of us must make our own individual pledges for our own reasons. But I ask each of you to consider 2 points. First, where does Christ Church rank in your annual giving? Where is it relative to other not-for-profits? For me, it is at the absolute top, because it is a representation of my faith and because Christ Church helps underpin the morals of our local community. Second, I think we all should do our own maths and decide how we want to support our church. But I hope you understand now that our church does need more from all of us than we gave for 2024. That is together in faith, in action. Thank you.